Hi everyone, Jacqueline Vasquez, CEO of Weddings Beautiful Worldwide. Thank you for joining us today on another webinar episode of Elevate Your Brand with Weddings Beautiful Worldwide. Today we're excited to be sharing a conversation in a three-part series that we had with one of our graduates and member, Janel Bailey Keene. She is the CEO and founder of Vivid Expressions. The conversation will entail everything from her journey, from training to her journey and setting her foundation to where she is today. So tune in and we hope that you're able to take away some important features that can help you in your business.
Janelle, I want to welcome you. I am so happy that you have been a part of Weddings Beautiful for many years. I've seen so many amazing things that you've done. So I first want to start with give me a little bit about just you and Jen and just in a nutshell and welcome.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's a joy and a pleasure to be here. Um, my journey into weddings and events has been long. I actually, my degree was actually in fine art, and I received my degree in the '90s. So yeah, I don't add the numbers here, but yeah, I've
I
been
know. I had a conversation the other day with someone. I'm like, yeah, it was in the
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And but I've been in business now for 16 years, the last 16 years. And my company is Vivid Expressions, and we do event consulting, design, and production. I My formal title is Executive Creative Director. I like to also say that I'm the principal designer and lead production head for every event we do. And of course, we focus mostly on weddings. That's the majority of what we do. And we're located here in Norfolk, Virginia, or coastal Virginia. If you know where Virginia Beach is, we're like literally like just down the street. And my journey really started, like I said, my degree was in art, and I worked for a slew of different companies. I worked for museums. I worked for the Virginia Symphony for a while. I did marketing. I did PR. I worked for a small animation studio doing PR and marketing for them. I worked for a telecommunications company doing training.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Just like I said, it keeps
all
going
over.
on.
It just keeps going and going. I even worked for the U.S. Air Force doing marketing.
Nice.
And some people, so at this point, people started to wonder, well, how did you get into weddings? And I'll say it's like a lot of us, not everybody, but I know there's a lot of us out there who get the wedding bug after we do our own wedding or we do somebody
Mhm.
else's that we love's wedding, and you just catch that feeling. And I get that bug after my own wedding, but my own wedding had a bit of a twist.
Mm.
I got married in 2003, and at the time I was working for a telecommunications company as a trainer for their tech division. And I thought, oh, we do holiday parties and company picnics all the time. How hard could a wedding be? Ooh. Well,
Total difference.
oh, I found out how hard it was. Oh, it's just being a bride, going through that process. It goes from fun to frustrating really
Mm,
quickly. But I was doing okay. I had the big fat binder, and I had sketches of
mm.
what the ceremony was going to look like, and sketches of what the rain site was going to look like in case it rained. And I put together. I mean, I went in full trainer mode, and I put together manuals for my bridesmaids. It's
Wow.
like
I
this
haven't
is what.
gotten to
Yeah,
that part
yeah.
yet.
It's like this is what a bridesmaid's responsibilities are. Da, 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 da. And we were doing okay until a week and a half before the wedding, and my mom calls and goes, "So, do you have a rain site?" And I'm thinking to myself, "Psst, of course we got this." I would never say that to my mom, by the way. I would never say that to my mom. But she was like, "Oh," I was like, "No, we're fine. I love you. We'll talk next week." And I hung up the phone and I checked the 10-day forecast, and at the time it was called Tropical Storm Isabel.
Mm,
Now, for anybody who is familiar with Virginia, in 2003, in September of 2003, we had Hurricane Isabel hit. And to date, it's still the worst hurricane to hit the region in like 20
Wow.
years.
Wow.
So if you can picture it, Hurricane Isabel hits on a Thursday, the Thursday
Mm.
before my wedding. And of course, the meteorologists say, oh, it's going to turn, it's not going to hit us, it'll be fine, yada, yada. And I'm an optimist. I'm like, oh, it'll be fine, and planning the wedding. Isabel hits on a Thursday, lights are out. I'm putting together 148 place cards shaped like chairs by
Wow.
candlelight. We don't even have batteries for the radio. We don't know what's going on. We
Wow.
got candles everywhere. And the next day, which is Friday, day before my wedding, it's a beautiful day as it is after every storm. And I
Mm-hmm.
think to myself, okay, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We had no clue what was going on. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. The lights will come on any minute now. It'll be fine. And 8:20 in the morning, Norfolk Botanical Gardens in Norfolk, Virginia, which is where we were supposed to get married, call. And they say, the governor's issued a state of emergency. We've had severe flooding.
Mm.
Trees are turned over. We have no power. We cannot host your wedding. And
Wow.
I was okay. I would think I was more shocked than anything else, but I was okay. I
Mm-hmm.
thought to myself, well, we'll get married in the backyard. We'll just get married in the backyard, and we'll have this wonderful reception at the hotel on the ocean front. Well, of course, the phone rings 10 minutes later, and it's the hotel, and they say, we've had severe flooding, and we have no power, and we can't cater if we wanted to, so we cannot host your wedding.
Wow.
And I broke down and ugly cried for
Oh
like
my
10
goodness.
minutes. 15 minutes. I was just a ball of emotions and tears on the
Mm.
floor. And something inside me said, no, no, you're getting married. You're getting married. And, at the time we lived in Chesapeake, Virginia. And I thought to myself, okay, the hospital's on Battlefield Boulevard. What is close by that might be on the same power grid as the hospital? Oh, there's a Walmart. So
Mm.
my then fiance, now husband, get in the car and we drive to Walmart. Everybody else is in the, getting canned food and water. And we're in the home and garden section getting vases and candles because we're going to make the backyard look beautiful because we're getting married. We buy a landline phone and we go home and we
Mm.
plug in the phone and we start doing the phone calls.
Calling everybody.
Bridesmaids, getting on the phone tree list and start calling people. And then this is when the miracles start to take place, because right
Mm.
around then, Botanical Gardens call back and they
Mm.
say, okay, we're still close to the public, but we're going to see if we need a generator in the rain site in the old admin building. Are you interested? It's like, yes. And hung up the phone and started calling other people and letting them know. And then another hour or so goes by and Botanical Gardens calls back again. And they say, okay, we have a generator. It's in the rain site. You're more than welcome to use it, but we're going to try to see if we can clear out the garden that you wanted to get married in
Oh.
and have the tram take people from the parking lot to that location and back
Oh.
again. Are you
Awesome.
interested? I was like, yes. And call. 2 more hours go by. The hotel on the oceanfront calls back. They say, okay, we're on the oceanfront. Half the strip has power, half the strip doesn't. We're on the side that has power. We're working on getting occupancy. We're clearing out the ballroom. 10 o'clock that night, the cake lady calls, lets me know she has power. 95% of our vendors come through,
Mm.
but it taught me so much. And it was one of those things where I had this huge moment of clarity. At the end of the day, I married my best friend.
Mm.
We've had going on 20 years. It'll be 20 years
Mm.
in 3 years, 2.5 years. And we have a beautiful life and a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful family. And I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the
Mm.
time we had at our event, at our wedding. But it taught me that, number one, a wedding is not like a company picnic.
Mm-mm.
There is no committee meetings 3 months later saying what we're going to do. What are we going to do better next year? No, it's a one-time shot, and it's
Mhm.
highly emotionally charged, and there's so many moving parts, and you have these visions and these ideas and these things that you truly desire and you want and you really dream for, and it's all building up, and at some point you have to, you realize that you don't know what you're doing. And a
Mhm.
lot of times, there's so many brides out there. I thought I knew. I thought I knew what I was doing. Hey, how hard
It's
can
like you have a binder, you have everything in order. You're
everything?
all set.
And this was before the internet, so
Right.
I think it's worse now because now it's information overload,
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
still have even more questions than you have answers. So, between that and, wondering, if there was something I could do to help somebody else not go through what I went through,
Yes.
if I had just had somebody there, I wanted to be a part of that.
Mhm.
And, clearly they could not have stopped a hurricane, but they could have taken the pressure off of me. They could have had resources I may not have, probably was not even aware of. And, I could have been more present on my
Mhm.
day of, and I could have been more able to enjoy things on my day of. I think one of the biggest regrets we have is the timeline situation, because my husband's parents, his mother passed away 5 years ago,
Mhm.
but his mother and father flew in from Missouri, and the videographer took us out to do some like goodbyes or whatever, some farewell messages or whatever. And that's when the DJ ended up playing the anniversary song from their
Oh
parents' wedding.
my
So,
goodness.
and they got on the floor and they danced, and everybody's telling me about it, but we totally missed it,
You missed
and the
it. Yes.
videographer missed it.
Yes. So
So
it's like you said, the timeline and
timeline,
understanding the flow.
huge, huge
Yes.
things that I wasn't aware of.
Mhm.
So if there was something I could do to help other people, I wanted to be a part of that. And another thing that I saw, and this is strictly from my perspective, is that I came from this background of art and design, but I didn't see the design process that I was used to being used in the events industry, and I wanted to kind of incorporate my skill sets into it, my
Mhm.
niche,
Mhm.
which has grown into my niche now, um, of doing art and design,
Right.
and bringing that into the process and creating a smoother process. So that's something else I kind of cultivated as a result. But it took me 3 years of really kind of figuring out whether or not I wanted to do it. And then when I started the process of launching the business, I
Mhm.
realized I needed more than just books and magazines. What drew me to Weddings Beautiful was something that I could take on now. Again, this is still when the internet was kind of new, and I would be sent these packets of information, and I would go through it, and I would do it at my own pace.
Mhm.
But I also had the support, and that's the
Yes.
key, having
Yes.
that support there. So if I wasn't sure, I could always kind of go back and forth and figure out what I needed to do, and that kind of sort of thing. So around 2006, when I really started opening the business, is when I started going through that program. And it was good because one of the best things about it was, yeah, there's books and there's magazines and all these different resources, but that's not the perspective I needed. I needed
Mhm.
some the perspective from the actual planner side of it. And
Exactly.
so much of it was like, 10 tips to hosting a wedding that you see on
Exactly.
in magazine. That's great, but I need to know
The
the inner.
behind the scenes of that.
Right, right. The inner structure. Without that support system, I mean, all the other things are nice, but you have to have that inner layer,
Mhm.
and that's what I loved so much about it.
That is
So,
awesome.
that was after I completed that.
Mhm.
Then it was like, okay, now I know where I want to go from
Now
here.
you felt a sense of, I mean, because that's how I felt when I
Hmm.
finished the course, the training. It was like this aha moment.
Hmm.
What I loved, and we can go into that as well. What I loved about the training program was that it was a little bit more than just the basics.
Hmm.
Yes, I mean, there are different assignments, a number of assignments
Yep.
that really broke down the basics from
Hmm.
wedding fashion to etiquette
Hmm.
and things like that, and how to learn the business side of it. But then there was the mental side of it, and the working. We work with people, and we work with different types of characteristics and personalities, and you need to understand that, yes, you're learning some of the business side, but
Hmm.
also you need to know if you're prepared mentally and everything else in understanding the general skeleton pieces of what a planner does.
Yes. And that was something else that goes back to my experience as a bride. It was way more emotional than there was. It's so emotionally charged.
Yes.
And being and having that I'm like going through, it's like, yeah, yeah, and I related to so much, because on an emotional level, you definitely need to be able to communicate and share and understand and empathize with your clients. And that was a key component that even now I don't think a lot of people really talk about.
Mm. And so tell me about, you took the training, what happened next?
Well, I think it also gave me some clarity by the end, because I went into this whole idea of, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to help everybody and I'm going to do everything and da 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 da. And I want to do everything. I want to do it all. I want to plan. I want to coordinate. I want to do the flowers. Da 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 da. Da. And I started that journey. And as I progressed, I started to realize that um, I needed to maybe kind of niche down into my personal strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So I started off doing the whole big full service planning with a little bit of design. But as time progressed, it flipped completely.
Wow.
And now my focus is on the event design. And then I add value by either referring to other planners, subcontracting other planners, or planning myself. and
Good.
and that kind of helps me stay in my zone of brilliance, where I feel that I give the most value, and I feel like I'm meant to serve. But it also allows me to help others, in their way of serving.
Mm.
So when I do partner up with other planners, or I do, subcontract folks to do, to bring in folks to work on events, that helps. I'm helping them with their business, and they're helping me. And overall, it's going to help make a happy bride and groom,
Relationship.
and happy couples, and happy everything.
Yes, yes, and it's about building those relationships.
Yes.
That's really key and important in our growth, in our
Hmm.
journey.
Yes, yes. So
Awesome.
yeah, I think it helped me kind of really tune into what it is I'm meant to do,
Mm-hmm.
and gives me all the support and all the resources I need.
Mm.
And then I build from there.
Got it. How do you manage your balance in reference to the mental piece of the emotions that we're taking, not pretty much taking on for our clients,
Hmm.
but really helping them to take that USA moment, right? Like, really,
Yes.
and we'll take care of it. But how do you manage so that you can be stable and effective for your client?
I think the biggest key for me is to listen with empathy, but
Mm.
also separate and understand that it, it's it's my job to help them and guide them through the process, and I need to listen to their cues, where they're at now, and then guide them one step at a time through that process. And also just dedicate time for me in between. Maybe sometimes I need to schedule a break for myself. If I know that this is a heavy day with a lot of appointments, maybe I need to schedule this time in the day for me to just take a cup of coffee or cup of tea and relax and reflect on what I'm doing, reflect on why I do what I do, and really just kind of get myself aligned before the next conversation.
Yeah,
So it's
definitely.
yeah, it's time management, expectation, listening to myself as well, because I'll
Yes.
give myself cues.
Yes, yes, because your body's gonna tell you,
Hmm. Hmm.
you need some time.
Yeah,
It's like, hello,
yeah.
I'm knocking hard. You need some time, because we can get involved in so much of the pretty and the logistics
Hmm.
and the details of
Hmm.
things. And there comes a time that we get so involved, and it's like we forget to take that time. So I like
Exactly.
how you say scheduling it. I mean, for me, it's that morning time where
Hmm.
I
Yep.
take my coffee and I
Hmm.
take a break, and then I'll sit down at my desk. what was that
Hmm.
pivotal moment that
Oh my
made you
gosh.
switch from
It,
planning design a little bit to design more?
I think there was just, I was in this midst of doing these full service events, which I loved, but I
Hmm.
also felt myself, burning out almost because I tried to do so much. And I don't know if there was one pivotal event or one pivotal moment, but I really thought that if I could just really do more of the design element of it,
Hmm.
because that made me happy, and
Okay.
that's a skill that I
So that's
really,
one thing. It was
yeah.
finding your happy moment,
Yeah, it was my
right?
happy moment. It's like, I kind of, I thought to my I sat down, I'm thinking to myself, it's not that I don't love every moment of, seeing the dream come to fruition for the client. I love every moment of it. I love, I'm the one in the corner with the little camera recording, the father daughter dance, and like, oh, look how that kind of sort of thing.
Mhm.
I love that, but at the same time, I feel like when I've helped this couple take this idea, this abstract idea of
Right.
what their environment's going to look like, and then I sketch it out,
Mhm.
and then I present it to them, and they just either love it or they're like, oh, that's great, but you know what, now that I see it, let me tweak it a little bit.
Got it.
And now we make these little changes, and then the day of, and they walk in the room
Like,
and they see the full
wow.
transformation, and their mouths are open, and the groom's grabbing me and hugging me. It's like, oh, I can't breathe, you
They're
know
like, what? You really
yeah,
did this?
yeah, exactly. So I think everybody should really think about what part of the process brings you the most joy
Hmm.
and makes you feel like you're the most of service. And for me, it was the designer element felt
Mm.
more in tune to what I was
To,
brought here to do. You know what I'm
to you.
saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
How many years did it take?
It literally, I think I started transitioning from that. Well, I'll tell you what, right around two, 2008, 2009, I took a floral design class because I wanted to just, I wanted to, continue to learn, continue to grow,
Hmm.
continue to try different things.
Yeah.
And I took a floral design class, and that was like, wow, wow, okay, I could do this. And started offering the flowers as part
Hmm.
of the service. And then 2009, I started doing that more. I think by 2010 is when I started to kind of get that itch.
Mm.
But I don't think I really started transitioning it out fully until 2015. And that's when I started to really kind of turn everything towards, all right, let me do a little bit more of this than that. And, fast forward, here it is, 2021. And, the majority of what I do is the design consulting and
Mm.
the core, and working with the vendors, and working with other folks, and working with other planners sometimes. And yes, I do offer them the option of having me do day of,
Mhm.
but honestly, I'd rather just bring in somebody for that, or refer somebody for that,
Got it.
because that way I'm knee deep, and I'm elbow deep in petals, and I'm happy.
I understand, and I'm glad. And I asked you, how long it took for your transition, because I transitioned as well from
Hmm.
exactly what you shared. When you first start, you want to do everything, you want to learn
Hmm.
everything, and I was in that mode of learning, educating myself more, learning more of this and learning more of that, and setting up and all that. And I believe my transition was more towards midway as
Hmm.
well,
Hmm. Hmm.
where I was like, I was really the happiest. Not like you said, not that I didn't like everything else, like the design piece and all of that. I still have some of those pieces included,
Hmm.
but what I had a passion for, what really makes me happy, is logistics. Like, that
Yes.
is my jam. Like,
Yes.
timeline, all of that, logistics, problem solving, all of
Yes.
those different things, really, really just took it to a different level for me,
Yes.
that I was like, okay, now it's time, all these relationships that I've built, to build partnerships,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
For the florals, for the design. What I do offer my clients for full service is basically I will work with you on design ideas and
Mm-hmm.
concepts
Mm-hmm.
so that we can have a founding, a starting point for the designer, for the floral
Exactly.
designer, for the event designer, so that at least you have a starting point with that, right?
Exactly.
And then I have multiple relationships on different levels, right? On price points and things like that, so that I can offer the best services for my clients. So I'm able to engage with and grow, and like you said, grow with my partners, with my colleagues, and see all the amazing things they do, and let me do all of the other running around that I love to do.
Yep.
So, the transition is the part of, okay, we start in this world of magic, what we
Mm-hmm.
feel is magic
Yes.
and excitement, and that Jennifer Lopez movie, right? And that she makes everything seem so
Mhm. Oh
okay,
yeah, that's just the
better,
movies.
the small pieces that were um, like iffy moments for that particular movie is
Mhm.
was like lightweight compared to what we really do, right?
Oh
So
yes.
it's a whole different world. And
Mhm.
for me, it was about, understanding the world
Mhm.
of the industry, weddings and social events and corporate,
Mhm.
because we have a similar story. When I started doing more of the events, it started with the corporate world that I was working at, doing holiday parties. Oh yeah, sure, I can do, weddings. Somebody asked me, it's like, oh, my son is getting married. Okay, great. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of different
Mhm.
pieces here. So,
Yep.
you walk in with this, I want to do everything. And
Mhm.
we're here to say that's okay.
Mhm.
But along the way, allow yourself to really understand what you love the most, because that's when you give the most value to your clients. They get the
Exactly.
best of you, and then you're able to like partner with so many other amazing people and bring the best team
Eh,
around. Where are you right now?
Well, right now I'm actually where I want to be. I'm literally where I want to be. I have great relationships with all the vendors that I've worked with before, and and it's a matter of having having those great relationships. And I never it's kind of it's been hard to do over the last year or so.
Yes.
But I always say never underestimate the power of a cup of coffee.
Hmm.
Contacting a venue and saying, "Hey, I love to talk with you sometime. I have some ideas, or I want to catch up," and then really making sure that they are aware of the vision I have for Vivid Expressions moving forward. And I think the key is for you to have a clear vision of where you want to take your particular business,
Exactly.
and and that's something else to maybe yearly go back and review your vision and your mission, and how you maneuver and how you market and how you brand, and most companies do that anyway, so why not you sit down and really think, okay, let me reflect on the vision I have, the big picture. I like to call it the big picture vision
Hmm.
is the mission, and I mean the vision, and your everyday brushstrokes of that painting
Hmm.
is your mission, your everyday
Love
mission.
it.
So review that, sit down, review that, and then reach out to your to folks and just have a conversation. I've talked to when I decided to really kind of push the decor and design and the the event design side of things more. I had to let them know, because really a lot of my business was being referred to me from my vendors
Mhm.
and my partnerships, like venues. So sat down, talked, let them know the idea. They gave me good feedback. They told me what they are looking for
Mhm.
and how I can serve them in that way.
Awesome.
And take that feedback and incorporate that and do that with the rental companies I work with, or other folks that I work with. Just talk to them and have those conversations.
Mhm.
because again, those are the people we're going to be working with. Those are people who are going to be your biggest advocates anyway.
Exactly.
So, you get out there and do that. And once I did that, then I was able to kind of, hey, here's an updated
Mhm.
brochure. Here's an updated link to the website that you can use, and kind of make them part of the transition as well.
Exactly. That's totally amazing. I mean, I totally agree because that's the way how a business owner, a CEO really should be thinking. We should be thinking like the big wigs and the,
Hmm.
top firms,
Yeah.
the benefits of not just the company, but the everyone around the company, and think about a global perspective,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
So I'm going to throw you a curveball and say,
Oh
oh,
no.
yes, 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 because we were talking about great things and growth, but has there been any moment throughout those years that you were like, I'm done?
Oh, I'm gonna be completely honest. Absolutely. I started my business in 2006. I've seen a recession. I have
Mhm.
seen I've seen a lot of things happen. We all, I think, if you've been in this business for a while, you see the cycle. There's this big push, this wave of new planners that come along because they help Aunt Sue with their wedding, and now they want to be a wedding planner, but they don't want to actually do any of the
Educational
preparation. Yeah, the preparation and the,
preparation,
and the
yes.
education. And they'll come in, and then then they'll fade away, and then you're
Mhm.
still here. So
Mhm.
there have been times when it's you have the people out there who come in and they try to undercut, God forbid. But I understand that I'm not at that stage where I
Mhm.
don't have to worry about that. I focus on what I can provide, the value I provide, the relationships I build with both my client and my teams and my colleagues, and you know I know the value I provide, so I don't have to worry about that. But there were some times when it was, like I said, I was in the recession when it hit, and that was hard.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, it was hard.
What
And
about now during the pandemic?
the pandemic has been challenging, but
Mhm.
not as hard. And I think I say that because I've been through tough times.
Got it.
Obviously, not like a pandemic, but we've
So
been
you
through
feel
tough
more
times.
prepared right now. You
Definitely
feel like
feel
your foundation is
way
set.
more prepared. My
Yes.
foundation, and I understand that business works in a cycle.
Mhm.
There's a book, and I can't remember the name of it. Oh gosh, but it talks about the wave that you see in businesses where something happens. Maybe it's the stock market, maybe it's whatever, but something happens that triggers a down cycle in the market. Things get crazy, things get rough, and then you're in this little trough. And
Mhm.
this is where people just they bail.
Mhm.
They bail completely, or they just close down. And if you can make it through this low section, then there is an uptick,
Yes.
which we're in now.
Well, that's where I was
Actually,
just gonna say,
we are
that's
in.
where we're in.
Oh, and by 20, I mean next year. Oh my gosh.
Be
Because
prepared, be
be
relaxed
ready. I
enough
mean,
now and
don't
ready.
get ready, because you will not have time to get ready, because the surge is where things are going to go through the roof. And
Mhm.
during that lull, all these couples who were going to get married has postponed. I had a ton of postponed weddings,
Mhm.
which
Same
was
here.
very hard because
Yes, it is.
that meant no new revenue was coming in.
Mhm.
So that was hard. But then you had all those brides and grooms and couples that that postponed. Then you have people are still getting engaged
Mhm.
during this
Mhm.
time, and engagement season is upon us now.
Yes.
So when January and February hit, we're going to start to see that surge, and it's going to be out of control because you still have a lot of venues that are still booked from the
Oh, yes.
postponements from last year. So that's going to be
Yes.
insane.
Yes.
It's going to be very interesting. I had more weekday weddings this last 6 months
Mhm.
than I have ever had,
Wow.
because they literally didn't have any other time.
Saturdays or Fridays
They're
or
gone.
Sundays.
They were
Yep.
gone. We are reaching the surge. And I think the biggest challenge moving forward is going to be not and it's the opposite of not having enough business, but having too much business and not
Mm-hmm.
knowing how to handle, saying no, or
That's
double
another.
bookings, or
Yes.
resources,
Yes. Yes.
like I said, the dates is only, there's only, for a lot of venues, they only do like one or two, events
Exactly.
at that venue. And if that date's booked, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So having that, being able to think creatively, think outside the box,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be huge in the upcoming year. Having, being flexible with your resources,
Exactly.
being clear on the vision the client has and how you can create that vision for them.
And
That's going to
execute
be,
it.
and
Because I'm
executing it.
sure, and we'll talk about this and a little bit now in another session as well. But I mean, you work with flowers, and you
Hmm.
have I bow down because for florists, for floral designers,
Man,
wow,
this year
like
has been
adding more
out of
ways
control.
was, I mean, for planners as well, it was crazy, but wow,
The
I
demand was insane. And the heartbreak was last year when everything really shut down. I mean, because we nobody had understood what was going on. We had no idea what was going on.
Mhm.
And I think right around March-ish is when everything really shut down.
Yeah.
And we had flowers on order that they had to, like, nope, we can't do that. We can't ship them. And the growers and distributors for the flowers literally had to throw
Out.
tons of flowers away because they couldn't move them.
Yes.
And then on the opposite side, this past summer and fall, we had the opposite problem where it was so much
Demand was high
demand.
and not so
And I
much
think there was one week or two, it was a week or two where there was like a tropical storm or hurricane, something came through and just devastated some areas. And even the growers couldn't send flowers because they didn't have anything to send.
and I think I what was it? Hydrangeas were like
Oh,
shortage. I'm like, that's the
oh.
one that gets used the
Everybody
most.
wants, yeah, and that's the
Everybody
push
wants hydrangea.
the big impact flowers there because you get the big volume. And I heard something else too, that over in Europe, European market was coming to the US to get our flowers because the flowers were, they had the
Wow.
same issues there. So
Wow.
that's another situation where having great resources and
Mhm.
partnerships, because I could pick up the phone and call, different distributors. There was a local
Exactly.
floral farm here in Virginia. They were getting out stuff as fast as they could. So, having those resources and having,
Hmm.
being able to reach the right people, that was huge. That was a huge, huge thing. So yeah,
So
having your network is your
e-
net worth.
yeah,